Homeworld, Deserts of Kharak is set 100 years prior to the events of Homeworld, during the quest for the primary anomaly that the introduction of Homeworld talks about. This is what led to the spacefaring events of Homeworld, one of the best strategy games ever. Does the prequel, originally titled Hardware Shipbreaker, stand up to the test? In a word, no. It could just be nostalgia speaking, but it just doesn't quite live up to expectations. It's still an extremely strong strategy game and one that is definitely part of the Homeworld franchise. In fact, it really feels more like the original than any other game has since, despite it being set on a planet. The desert setting is used with such great effectiveness to show the sheer scale that the game operates with. Some of the maps are downright huge, which allows the game to introduce a sense of loneliness that only adds to the underlying story of being part of a huge world-changing expedition. A tactical command screen, much like the one found in Supreme Commander, allows you to take in the scale of the maps, but brings with it other challenges. What seems to be an attempt to further link the game to Homeworld and a persistent annoyance is that the UI shares symbols with the previous games, even though it makes little sense to do it here. While the design of the vehicles is a blend of normal and futuristic, like a tank looks like a tank but it floats instead of using tracks, there's really little reason to use a square that indicates heavy vehicles instead of just a simple tank symbol. Everything in the game uses the same abstract reasoning, which frankly confuses things, particularly so when building turrets, which are just a variety of sticks. It's a small but constant issue that uses up time as you try to decipher what the icons indicate. To reintroduce a sense of verticality, Blackbird have used the sand dunes to a simply excellent level. Line of sight has always played a key role in strategy games for as long as we can remember, and terrain height is often a factor in gaining an advantage. But there is so much to be said in this game for the tactical advantage gained by waiting halfway up a large sand dune, letting the enemies roll over the crest only to get picked off by overwhelming fire, and demolished before the height can give them the advantage. The use of terrain for range, cover, and as a means of escape is done to such a level that it's hard to think of many in recent years that have been this good. What makes it more important is the slow pace that the game runs with. Only 2 levels out of 13 in the campaign have any real sense of urgency on you to move forward. The other remaining levels are happy for you to move forward at your own pace. It's a game that removes itself from the twitch-based gameplay that you'll see in games like StarCraft 2, allowing for a more methodical and planned approach with tense moments due to resource limitations, and an excellent variety of units that renders itself to planning unit groups and coordinated movements. The command carrier Sakala is your mothership for the duration of the campaign, acting both as your movable base of operations, a factory to pump out your war machines, and also as the main hub where your salvagers deposit much needed resources to push you forward in the persistent campaign. What it also does is take a more active role in dealing death to your enemies through the use of onboard planes, cruise missiles, and its own means of attack through railguns and rockets. All of the units in the game are vehicle-based, with the armored assault vehicle being the backbone of any force and acting as a regular tank. Variety comes in with railguns that offer much needed range but can be easily countered with fast light attack vehicle and cruisers. Slow moving but packing a huge punk with artillery cruisers and battle cruisers, the latter of which is a mega tank. Support vehicles are also available from a support cruiser that repairs your units and salvagers, which are your resource gatherers, who gather resources placed around the map, or demolishing wrecks of starships and salvaging resources and artifacts from them. Artifacts collected from these salvaging operations are applied to the Sakala, which can improve its defenses, weapon systems, and cooling ability. The latter being one of the most important aspects, as you have a number of points to allocate to either armor, repair, weapons, or sensors. As you apply more, you'll be using more energy and generating more heat. If you go over the cooling ability, then your carrier will start to take constant damage until it eventually overloads. The downside is that while there is a chance of missing a few artifacts to the game, there's no other variety or customization offered, as all of them are active all the time. The game does have a number of minor and some major issues. The campaign tends to feel like too much of the same thing, slowing down dramatically after the first few missions. While it does offer a number of exciting moments and events, you'll quickly get tired of doing the same objectives time and time again. Compounded into this is the fact that the AI doesn't lend itself to creating memorable moments. It's downright stupid at times, rarely defending itself from aerial attacks, or attacking in some surprising way. The AI issues are visible with your own units, particularly the aerial units, which will circle your carrier for ages in a failed attempt to land before you have to intervene and manually force them to. Where the game really disappoints and annoys is the camera. Despite it being purely desert-based, which limits the variety of scenery to a huge level to begin with, it still looks amazing. The vehicles are excellently designed, and zooming in lets you see the small, intricate details that are found throughout. However, that's about all you can do with the camera. It's limited in how far you can zoom out, and you often have to fight with it to get a decent angle to see the combat. And if you build up a sizable number of units, selecting them all becomes a bigger task than the enemy. On the other side, a good thing that needs to be mentioned is that the audio design is wonderful. In any battle, campaign skirmish, or multiplayer, there's a large amount of background chatter that feels perfectly natural. It offers you a better feel of how the battle is going, and indicates any new enemies that have come into range far better than using the camera ever could. This combination of excellent ambiance from the wind in the deserts, to the hum of the vehicles, and the sounds of a far-off battle make for a fantastic soundtrack. So to sum it all up, Strong with Bouts of Excitement is the best that can be said about Deserts of Kharak. The multiplayer is non-existent with no community to speak of, but the campaign makes up for it by offering an interesting expedition through the desert, which does offer tactical challenges when the persistence is factored in. While not living up to its namesake, it does capture the essence and offers a strong entry that's well worth taking the time to play. We gave it a 7.2.